What happens when a beloved country music icon steps onto a talk show stage expecting a warm conversation about her newest album, only to suddenly find herself standing across from a host determined to drag her into a messy political showdown? What you're about to see is one of the most jaw-dropping moments in daytime TV, a moment where Joy Behar believed she could bulldoze over Reba McEntire, but instead got hit with a dose of reality so sharp that it left her stunned and the entire audience frozen in place. This is how one of country music's most respected voices turned the script upside down on a host who completely misjudged her. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment, because after hearing what unfolds, you're absolutely going to want to talk about this breathtaking train wreck. The morning kicked off like any other inside the View's studio. Reba McEntire arrived early, her famous red hair styled with care, wearing a classy navy blazer that radiated confidence without even trying. She'd been invited to promote her upcoming tour and fresh music releases, something she'd done countless times on various shows throughout her long career. But as she sat in the green room adjusting her mic, she had zero idea that Joy Behar had an entirely different agenda waiting behind that desk. "We're back in 30 seconds. The floor manager called as crew members hurried around setting everything in place. Reba smiled kindly at the other hosts. Whoopi Goldberg gave her an encouraging look. Reba had always enjoyed visiting The View, appreciating the lively banter and enthusiastic viewers. But today felt a broken bar off. There was something in the air she couldn't put her finger on, something tense. "And we're live in 3, 2 broken bar," the manager signaled as the familiar music faded. "Welcome back to The View," Joy announced with her usual sharp-edged smile. "We're here with country music legend Reba McEntire, who's got a brand new tour coming up." But before we get into all that, Reba, I think our audience would love to hear where you stand on some of the big issues that matter to working families across America. Reba's warm smile flickered for just a second. This was definitely not the direction she thought this conversation would go. "Well, Joy, I'm mainly here to talk about my music and connect with the fans who've stood by me all these years." "Oh, come on now," Joy pushed, leaning forward with that familiar expression regular viewers knew meant someone was about to get cornered. "You've got a huge platform. You've got influence. Surely you have thoughts about what's going on in our country. I mean, your fans are mostly conservative, right? Rural America. The same folks who've been voting against their own needs for ages." The audience shifted in their chairs. Even Whoopi raised an eyebrow at Joy's unusually confrontational tone. Reba straightened her posture slightly, sensing the shift. She'd performed long enough to know when a room was changing on her. "Joy, I think you're making some unfair assumptions about my fans," Reba answered gently. "My listeners come from all sorts of backgrounds. They're teachers, farmers, nurses, business owners, military families. They're good people who work hard and take care of each other." "But let's not pretend," Joy broke in quickly, "these are the same people supporting policies that hurt working women, restrict reproductive rights, and deny climate science. How do you square entertaining people who hold such backward values?" A thick silence dropped over the studio. Reba's jaw tightened ever so slightly, but her voice was smooth when she spoke. "Joy, I think you're confusing political stereotypes with real human beings. The people at my concerts aren't defined by how you think they vote. They're parents worried about their kids' futures. They're young folks trying to figure out their lives. Their families doing their best." "That's a convenient dodge," Joy fired back, clearly annoyed. "But we all know the country music world has a serious issue with representation. It's historically excluded artists of color. Even now the industry struggles with diversity. Don't you feel a responsibility to speak up about those systemic problems?" For the first time, viewers could see a spark of fire behind Reba's calm eyes. "Joy, you should look into the history before you start throwing out accusations. Country music has roots in blues, gospel, and folk traditions from all communities. Artists like Charlie Pride, Darius Rucker, Mickey Guyton, Kane Brown, now these aren't exceptions. They're musicians who earned their place like anyone else." But historically, a Joy pushed again. completely missing the clear warning signs. And when Black Lives Matter was at its height, Joy added, raising her voice, "Where was your voice, Reba McEntire?" The temperature in the room dropped instantly. Reba leaned forward just slightly, her voice controlled but firm. "My silence, Joy. You must not know much about my career or my work. I've spent decades supporting charities, helping kids from tough backgrounds, and using my platform to help all people. But I don't feel pressure to advertise every good deed online just to score political applause." Joy's face tightened, realizing her usual approach wasn't landing. "Well, it's awfully convenient to hide behind charity instead of taking real positions. Your fans deserve to know where you stand. And what makes you think they don't?" Reba's voice grew stronger, her Oklahoma roots showing through. "You're sitting here telling me what my fans believe, how they think, what they deserve. But when was the last time you actually talked to any of them? When did you visit a small town, sit with families struggling to stay afloat, and actually listen instead of lecturing?" The co-hosts exchanged looks. This was spiraling quickly, but not the way Joy expected. "I don't have to visit small towns to know your fan base votes for politicians who undermine women's rights and social progress." Joy shot back, her pitch rising. "And your refusal to condemn those choices makes you part of the problem." That's when it happened. Reba's entire expression shifted. Gone was the polite guest. In her place sat a woman who'd survived decades in show business by knowing when to stand firm and when to strike with precision. She placed her coffee cup down with a soft tap that echoed through the silent room. When she looked up, her eyes held a power that made every person watching sit still. "Joy," she said quietly, "let me explain what real complicity looks like. Complicity is sitting in a cushioned New York studio making a big paycheck while judging people you've never met. Complicity is assuming that anyone who doesn't share your exact opinions must be ignorant or cruel." Joy opened her mouth to jump in, but Reba raised a hand and the room went still. "You've had your turn. Now you'll listen," she continued, her voice steady and sharp. "You want to talk about my fans? Let's talk about Sarah from Tennessee, a single mom working 3 jobs who saved for months to bring her daughter to my concert because my music gives them relief from their struggles. Or Frank from Iowa, a veteran with PTSD who finds comfort in the songs that remind him of home. These are human beings, Joy, not the caricatures you're trying to turn them into." The audience sat frozen, hanging on to every word. "Look," Joy attempted, her voice unsteady, "I'm not attacking them personally, but we have to look at the larger political picture." "You mean the picture as you see it?" Reba cut in. "The one where coastal elites feel entitled to tell middle America what to think?" Whoopi tried to step in. "Ladies, maybe we should No, Whoopi," Joy said, though her voice trembled. "Let her explain how she justifies staying silent while her fans support harmful policies." Reba laughed, not kindly. "Educate people, Joy. You assume anyone who disagrees with you needs to be taught. That's not education. That's arrogance." Joy wiped her forehead, clearly sweating now. "But some issues are black and white," she insisted desperately. "Human rights, equality." "You're right," Reba said calmly. "They are, which is why it bothers me that you act like you're the only person who understands morality." She leaned forward. "When's the last time you volunteered at a food bank outside this city? When did you visit a shelter in rural America? When did you leave your bubble and go meet the people you love criticizing?" Joy's face flushed red. "I donate to plenty of causes. Sending checks from a high-rise is not the same as understanding people's lives," Reba said plainly. The studio was now beyond uncomfortable. It was electric. "I resent that," Joy snapped. "I grew up working class. I know struggle." "Do you?" Reba asked softly. "Because it looks like you've forgotten what real struggle feels like." "That young woman you once were, she'd be ashamed of the way you speak to people now." You could hear a pin drop. Joy blinked rapidly, clearly at a loss. "You come on this show every day," Reba continued, "and instead of bringing people together, you divide them. You paint half the country as villains, and then you talk about unity. That's not unity. That's hypocrisy." Joy panicked, scrambling for words. "We hold people accountably." "No you don't," Reba said. You attack them. Accountability requires honesty. What you do is accuse people with no intention of understanding them. Joy searched for help, but even her co-hosts avoided eye contact. This was supposed to be about your music, Joy said finally, her voice barely holding together. Oh no, Reba replied with a cool, almost icy smile. You invited a fight. You thought I'd be an easy target because of where I'm from. But assumptions can make you look foolish. The audience murmured, several nodding. You're twisting my words, Joy said weakly. Am I? Reba asked. Earlier you said my fans vote against their own interests and hold backward beliefs. Want me to ask the producers to roll the tape? Joy looked like she'd been slapped. Yeah, I didn't mean it like that. Stop, Reba said gently but firmly. Own what you said. Don't backpedal. Joy fell quiet, defeated. You've been surrounded by people who cheer every political quip you make, Reba went on, and it's made you lazy. You forgot that people can think differently from you and still be decent, smart, caring individuals. Joy's voice was barely above a whisper. That's not fair. A broken bar. Fair, Reba repeated. You've spent this entire interview being unfair, condescending, presumptuous. I came here as a guest. You treated me like a defendant on trial. Whoopi tried again to step in, but Reba lifted her hand. This moment needs to be seen. Joy started this. She should hear how it ends. Joy looked lost, small, completely stripped of her usual bravado. I just want people to think critically, she said softly. Critical thinking, Reba replied, means being open to the idea that good people can reach different conclusions. You don't want critical thinking, you want agreement. Joy stared at the table, deflated. Here's what I want people to take away, Reba said, her voice warm again. We don't have to share the same politics to treat each other with respect. We don't have to agree on everything to see each other's humanity. But the attitude that anyone who disagrees must be bad, that's what's tearing this country apart. The audience began to applaud. First a few, then many. Reba waited for the clapping to fade. I came here to talk about music, she said. Music brings people together. It spans divides. Maybe if we valued connection over conflict, we'd be in a better place. Joy finally looked up, her eyes watery with humiliation. She opened her mouth to speak but closed it again, realizing nothing she said could fix what had just happened. The segment wrapped with a shot of Joy sitting in silence, visibly shaken, while Reba remained calm, composed, and undeniably victorious. That's exactly what happened when Joy Behar underestimated a true American legend. What you witnessed was a masterclass in standing up to a bully with poise, clarity, and unwavering dignity. Reba didn't just win that exchange. She revealed the emptiness behind Joy's entire approach. Make sure to subscribe for more moments like this, and tell me in the comments, who looked worse here, Joy for her clear bias and disrespect, or the producers for letting this disaster unfold on live television.